Hey guys, Kellie Meyer here, and we are back on the campaign trail in Iowa. So today we are checking out Waveland Cafe. It is a staple for candidates to come by and talk with Iowa voters. And it's also a place where people can come grab a cup of coffee and talk about politics. So that's what we're gonna do. Let's go check it out. Really? How do you spell that?
Terrall.
And what are you from?
Des Moines, basically.
How long you lived here?
I came here in 1960 after I got out of the service.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Where did you serve?
Ended up in Berlin when they built the Berlin Wall. Then they had the Cuban Missile Crisis at the same time.
I have so many questions for you to pick your brain on. First, I'll start with just from your history with that. How do you feel about the current position the country is in globally? How the rest
Looking at Biden, it sucks.
you think, are we in a worse off place? Are you concerned for our national security or safety?
Yeah, because there's none. Borders wide open.
Did you vote for President Trump before?
Yes, I did.
Would you vote for him again?
Damn right.
Do you feel the country was safer with former President Trump?
Much. It's not safe at all now.
And you point that at Biden.
Pardon?
You point the finger at Biden for that?
Oh, yeah. And the Democrats.
So you voted for Trump in 2016 and 2020 and plan to in 2024?
I do.
And what was the thing that you liked most about him?
He left us alone. He didn't mess with us. He didn't take things away from us.
What do you feel Biden has taken away?
My money. Taxing the hell out of us.
How do you feel the rest of Iowa is going to vote in a couple weeks or caucus?
They usually go Republican.
And Trump, you think, will win here?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I do.
And overall, you think he'll get the nomination?
If Biden runs, he'll get it.
Are there any of the other candidates standing out to you? DeSantis, Haley?
Nikki Haley. I like her a lot.
She has a lot of foreign policy experience.
Yeah?
If Trump isn't the nominee, would you, or if
If Trump isn't, I'd go with Nikki Haley.
you're going to go with Trump? If she were to run third party, would you, and Trump was the nominee?
No, because the third party won't win.
Do you think Trump could beat Biden?
Yeah, if Biden ain't counting the votes like he did last time.
What's the biggest issue for you in 2024?
Economy.
And then next is border.
Border is a real big one. I mean, it's wide open.
Do you feel Biden's stance or his approach to the Israel-Hamas war changed your view of how supportive he's been?
Biden don't know what's going on. Biden ain't running the country. So, that's the way it goes.
Well, maybe we'll sit here next year and see, or in a couple weeks from now, we'll see how the caucuses went and what happens from there.
Sure.
Okay. Anything else you wanted to share?
No, have a nice day.
Thank you. Enjoy your. What do you got here?
French toast,
Nice.
scrambled eggs, bacon.
Okay, this is our first time here. What do you recommend?
Just open up the. It's the best place in town to eat.
Yeah.
It is.
I'm excited. I'm excited.
Whatever you get, you'll enjoy it.
All right.
Don't tell my wife, but I had eggs, hash browns, biscuits and gravy, and patty sausage.
Don't tell your wife.
No.
We'll just blank that part out. What did you say your name was again?
My first name's Orv, last name is Salmon,
And where are you from?
Urbandale.
How are you feeling ahead of the caucuses?
Well, I think, I'm a Biden supporter, so I really haven't followed that closely, except I guess I'd have to say I'm surprised/disappointed that Trump has as large a poll lead as he does right now.
Yeah, you're from Iowa, and you see your other Iowans really still standing behind President Trump.
Yeah, majority, despite the endorsement of Reynolds for DeSantis and Vanderplots, whatever his name, supported DeSantis. So it is somewhat surprising, but Since the last 7 years, nothing surprises me too much in politics.
What do you think it is? Talking with your friends, I'm sure, that like Trump. What do you think it is?
Well, I think they're scared of immigration. I think they're scared of this country. They've been sold a bill of goods about this country turning into run by brown and black people, which is wrong. They're feeling that way. I certainly don't supported Barack Obama 100% back in the day. Miss him. So I think the Republicans have done a really good job of putting fear into those people's minds, whether it's immigration, guns, and then you throw religion in there, which is a whole other topic.
If it is former President Trump as the Republican nominee and then President Biden, who do you think would win in a rematch?
I'm concerned that Trump's going to win. I think, again, the Republicans, although there's only, 3 or 4 years difference in their age, I think the Republican ads, propaganda have really portrayed Biden as an old man, and I'm concerned about how that's going to carry over in a general election.
Does Biden have your vote?
Yes. Oh, yeah, 100%.
Do you think he should run?
Yeah, I don't see anybody else out there, If I think there's somebody out there, and the Democrats own part of this, and I'm an independent, but I'm left-leaning. But I think the Democrats own part of this enigma. I don't know how you develop young, quote, talent, but there doesn't seem anybody else in the program right now, does there?
Would you vote for Gavin Newsom?
Well, as opposed to Trump, yes. Oh, yes, 100%.
What do you think Democrats have to do to win next year?
Well, if I knew the answer to that, I'd probably be working with those think tanks in Washington, D.C. But I do think the country is split so dramatically. I still think there's 30%, just like in 2020. I think 30% are going to be for Trump regardless. 30% possibly for Biden, and the remaining 40% independents will decide the vote. And hopefully the chaos and just the constant crap that's going on, whether it's trials, January 6th. I think some people are still concerned about that, so that's why Trump got beat in 2020. That's what I think.
So it's the race for the independent voters' vote.
Yeah, well said. I guess I could have just said it in one sentence.
No. I appreciate your insight into it, and that's kind of what sparked it. And I think that's a great point. It's going to be a lot on those voters who just don't know. They don't like Trump or Biden. So who do they go to? Who is that candidate?
Yeah, I mean, I like civility in our government. I like leadership in our government. Again, my political bias probably leans a little bit left, but again, I'm an independent, but I just think there's constant chaos and bickering and fighting right now among the right. And I'm an old guy, and I don't think that's the way believe our country should be run that way.
It's interesting that there's so many that find themselves in the middle, just don't want to get involved in the fighting and just don't want to see it happening in our country. So, I don't know, who do you think is the candidate that would be for them?
Well, I don't know the answer to that. And my wife is an activist, getting out the vote locally, local elections, neighbor to neighbor, local party affiliation. So there are people doing things that are trying to change this, and I think it does start locally. But I wish there was some candidate out there, I hear Nikki Haley's ads, and she's talking about let's get rid of the chaos. So I support that attitude. Not that I'm going to vote for her over Biden, but I think it's really important that we have some legitimate leadership in the country that tries to, I don't like the word bring people together, but provide some leadership based on values and morals. Yeah, I think that.
What's the biggest issue for you going into 2024, policy-wise, thing that stands out to you?
Well, I guess like the Trump supporters, I'm just so negative Trump that I just don't want him elected. There's really, abortion, we're pro-choice. Guns, I think there ought to be some sort of gun legislation, not take guns away, but it's ridiculous not to have some sort of gun regulations. I'm for stronger borders like most Democrats. Somehow there has to be a legitimate immigration policy set up. And then health care is an issue.
That's so interesting. And I guess we'll be back and keep checking in and see how how it all shakes out.
Well, it's going to be, yeah. I'm afraid this state, this caucus has already been decided. So go to New Hampshire and see what happens out there.
Do you think anything's going to stop him from becoming the nominee?
Personally, no. I'm preparing myself for that, in order like that.
Are you disappointed Iowa is going that way?
Well, I mean, I've lived, it's been this way since 16, so I'm never been the brightest guy in the room, but I'm not necessarily that slow a learner. So, no, I'm not surprised at all. Rural Iowa, what was it, in 2020, 98 or 97 of the counties in Iowa out of the 100 voted Republican. So that just, you take Waterloo, Des Moines, Iowa City out of the equation. This is a Republican state.
So the Republican field really barnstorming Iowa. We saw Florida Governor Ron DeSantis in Iowa this week, former President Donald Trump, businessman Vivek Ramaswamy, and former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley, all in Iowa this week with just a few weeks left to go until the Iowa caucuses. But there is one name that voters are still speaking the most, and that's former President Donald Trump. He still maintains a strong hold on this state and is likely to walk away a winner here at the Iowa caucuses. But he isn't the candidate that has visited the Hawkeye State the most. It's actually businessman Vivek Ramaswamy. He has been here the most over the last 6 months. He even rented an apartment here in Iowa, but it isn't being reflected in his poll numbers or his support here in the state. Nikki Haley has actually come into second place, tied with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, and she hasn't been here that much either. Ramaswamy actually was here more in the last month than she has been in the last 6 months. But she is rising in the polls here in the state. And Ron DeSantis, he's been dropping in the polls, even though he has spent the most money in advertising dollars here in the Hawkeye State. But his support is dwindling here. Some voters that we talked with here really still stand by former President Donald Trump. They say they do like DeSantis and Nikki Haley, but at the end of the day, it looks like it's going to be Donald Trump for them. But it's interesting, some voters that say they'll vote for Trump or for Biden, they say the only other candidate they could see themselves voting for those on both sides of the aisle, say Nikki Haley may be that candidate. But for other voters, they didn't want to talk about politics at all. They just said they want to do Christmas and then the caucuses.